And the first one we have is launching on the 11th, and this is going to be 2 expansions for the Viscounts of the West Kingdom, and this is one of the 3 in the trilogy of the West Kingdom games from Garfield Games, and they're all rated quite high. This one is in the top 200, and I believe there is already a couple expansions out for this already, but this is going to be adding another 2. And if you're not familiar with Viscounts of the West Kingdom, each player is going to be starting the game with their own player board, and you're going to be using your player board to put different character cards into play, and they're going to be moving across your board left to right, allowing you to perform different actions and gain different resources, and they might even cause some additional effects once they come off your board. The player board also allows you to build buildings for special bonuses, and it also tracks your virtue and corruption, which is this track here that's outlined in purple. And the way that that works is as you gain more virtue, you're going to be moving up the virtue track, but then as you gain more corruption, you're going to have another token that moves down the same track, and then whenever they line up, you're going to have to deal with those consequences at the end of the round. And one thing I should mention about this is that this is a deck building Euro game, so all players will actually be starting with the same deck of cards, but then you're going to be acquiring new cards throughout the game, and then reusing those cards, maybe burning some cards to modify your deck as the game moves forward. On your turn, you're going to be playing those cards onto your player board, like I mentioned before, and then that's going to allow you to move some of your Viscounts around the main shared board. And wherever you move your Viscount on the board is going to allow you to perform special actions. So you might be able to do things like gain resources, build buildings, collect sets of tokens for victory points at the end of the game, send workers out to the center area of the board, and if you ever have 3 of your same workers in a single segment there, they're actually going to separate, one moving left, one moving right, and one moving upward, and this can also cause cascading effects if the ones that moved cause another 3 of your workers to be in the same spot. And that's going to grant you some different bonuses, but essentially you get more victory points if you have more of your workers towards the center of that circle. You might have noticed this board is also made up of different sections, and each section is double-sided, so you can actually flip different areas on the map to change up the entire board and add a little bit of variability between plays. The Keeper of the Keys expansion is going to be adding a few new modules, but the first thing I want to point out is that it's going to be upgrading your player boards into some thicker cardboard, and it's also going to have some punch-outs so that your corruption and your virtue tokens can slot right in. You might also notice that it includes some cutouts at the bottom of the player board, and this is going to be where your new module takes play. This new module introduced treasure chests that players can earn throughout the game, and whenever you gain one of these chests, you can choose to slot it in one of the 3 areas beneath your cards on your main player board. And then when one of your cards moves above it, if it matches an icon with that chest, it's going to allow you to use that treasure chest special ability. And this is going to allow the players to be a little bit more powerful and to ramp up the game a little bit faster. And that's something that I am a huge fan of. And then another small addition that this expansion adds is 3 public buildings that players will be competing for against each other. So these are 3 buildings that only one player can get, and you're going to be racing to get them first. There's also going to be a ton new townsfolk, heroes, and manuscript tiles, and some of these are going to be offering different ways to interact with some of these new mechanisms added through this expansion. And then the next expansion is the Gates of Gold expansion. This is also going to be adding a few new things, but the main module is that it's going to be adding the King's Order to the deck of cards that you can acquire and put into your queue of cards. And the way that these work is that they are a little bit different because they are one-time use, so they only go through your queue once, and unlike everything else in the whole deck building aspect of this game, this one does not get shuffled back into your deck. Instead, it goes back to the pile where it came from. And this expansion is also going to be adding a whole deck of cards of outsiders that are characters that are not from the main kingdom. So they are from outside your realm. You might want to trust them, you might not want to trust them. But when you activate one of these King's Orders cards, it's going to allow you to gain one of those outsider cards into your deck, and then you're going to be able to either keep that for the rest of the game to use its ability, or if you are able to exile that card, essentially getting rid of it from the kingdom, then it is going to allow you to perform some special actions in doing so. And those are all outlined on the right side of the card, which can be pretty powerful and useful depending on when you activate them in the game. And this expansion is also going to be adding some new building bonus cards, as well as new townsfolk and heroes and manuscript tiles as well. I really do like these 2 expansions. They seem to add quite a lot of fun decisions to the game without bogging it down with too many extra rules or too many extra components. And it just does a really good job integrating some fresh ideas that just play off the existing systems that already exist in the game. So if you're interested in this one, you can click to get notified, and I have links to all these campaigns in the description